Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tradesman Experience. This is the podcast built by tradesmen for tradesmen. My name is Josh, and of course, across the table is Mr. Nate Newton. Nate, happy Friday. How are you, sir?
It's been a interesting week for everything motor powered in my life.
So. What you driving?
I'm driving the old 92 12 valve, the old farm truck. That is the fanciest looking farm truck on the outside. And you get on the inside and you're like, that's a farm truck.
It's a 92 farm truck.
Yeah. I think thing's a tank. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's fun to drive around and cruise back country roads with it. But when you got to get somewhere, it's like, shit. I'm not accustomed to the slow lane. I'll put it that way.
Right. How accustomed are you to the luxuries of a newer truck?
Dude, it's like just to like get in and the AC doesn't create condensation that leaks on the floor and gets all over your backpack and
yeah. Stuff like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know, I don't have to plug my phone in order to get music to play.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. It was just a string of bad luck with, but I blew up the transmission in the truck. Lost the tire on the bike, and then fucking go to tow the bike up to Indian, and one of the goddamn strap snaps fucking dumps my bike on the trailer. Thank God there were rails on that trailer because it would have gone upside down into the fucking road.
Did it pop while you were driving? Like going down the road? The strap?
I was turning into into Walmart there to go get fuel, and as I was making the turn, that's when it popped, and it popped on the side away from where the bike was leaning. So I heard it go down and I looked back and the bike's on its side. I was like, fuck. Luckily it hit the crash bar though.
Okay.
So it didn't damage the fairing, didn't damage the tank, didn't damage the bags. So I'm like, okay, I'll count my fucking blessings with that,
When I saw that it had happened, my first reaction was I wanted to text you and be like, haha, jackass. But then I was like, if somebody did that to me, I would lose my fucking mind. If you were still in the middle of dealing with it.
In the middle of dealing with it, yeah. Like, especially if the bike would have been damaged.
Oh, man.
And it was something that was like the stitching ripped out where the hook was. Like the stitching popped apart. So, don't buy your straps at Walmart, folks. So.
You gotta buy good straps.
Yeah. I'm going all American made on the next.
Yeah.
Is that even a thing? Does anybody make American made straps?
I think that's called chain.
Yeah.
I don't really
Binders.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh man. But yeah. So if you didn't have bad luck, you'd have no luck at all recently.
Yeah. That's all right though. Fucking shit happens, and it's like, the transmission went in the truck, and the truck was supposed to go up for sale the following week. And then, so like my moral compass, Matt and I had a conversation about it. He's like, dude, luckily it happened to us and we can afford to fix it. Instead of like, this is some younger guy in his mid to late 20s that's his first like nice truck. And then the transmission blows up. And it's $8,000 to get a new transmission in that fucking thing. So.
Are you going to keep it now?
Probably not. No, I it's got 100,000 miles on it, and it's not just like, okay, the transmission's good, the motor's been great the whole time, but it's all the little odds and ends. You start losing ball joints and steering rods, and just whatever dumb little nuances come with a vehicle that's over 100,000 miles. And they're built to be that way. They want them breaking down after $100,000 to come buy a new one. So it's just like, and especially with those trucks. Everything's $1,000 to get it fixed. So it's like, is it worth it? Is it worth it to fucking continue to drive around a 3/4 ton truck when I don't need to?
I was wondering that with the continued evolution of the business, if you needed a 3/4 ton diesel.
Yeah, no, it's pretty rare that I go pick up materials or anything. I've had to tow the gooseneck up to the lake to make a steel delivery, but I also think that helped contribute to my transmission blowing up. And yeah. But but they are rebuilding that transmission. They're fixing the little nuances as they rebuild it. These guys have seen those Ford transmissions are notorious. So, whoever gets it, it's going to be a well-built transmission, and it's a nice truck.
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah,
mine just rolled 155,000.
Shit.
The other day, and you have some little things pop up. I had to change the front hub. Front right hub. So I went ahead and bought them both.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no point in just doing one.
No.
Yeah.
And, but I don't know that I'll ever get rid of that truck. And that's kind of my thing. To me, I think that will be an old truck in my garage one day.
Right. Yeah. We still owe a little bit of money on it. I think it'd be like fucking $15,000 or something on it. Not a big deal, but it's one of those things that we need the write-offs
Mhm.
You know, we need the tax deductible stuff. So it's like, you know, hawk the truck,
Yeah.
you know, and the whole tax system with that stuff, it got changed a couple of years ago. So it's like, you're better off just selling it private party.
Mhm.
But I'd rather see that go to somebody instead of the dealer take it and then they give me half the amount of money for it, charge somebody way more than it's worth. I'd rather put it up for what it's worth and,
Mhm.
you know, give somebody a leg up. I hope somebody takes it and is, you know, they're starting a business and that's going to look good with their logo on the side of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, it's a beautiful truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like I said, I love mine. Is yours a 15 or 16?
Mine's a 15,
15.
I believe.
Yeah. They're basically the same, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're damn good trucks.
Yeah. Except for their
It's
transmissions.
just that, knock on wood, I haven't had tranny issues, but I did have the module on the transmission go. And it was under warranty when that happened because I had a 100,000-mile warranty.
So did I. Guess when mine blew out?
101.
103.
They changed it, and then literally a month later, they had a recall on that module.
Oh, shit.
So I had to take it back in. But and then I had something that controls the turbo. It wasn't the turbo, it controlled the turbo. That was $3,000.
Ooh,
That was last year.
good times.
But like I said, for me, my plan with that truck is long term, so I don't have an issue changing the stuff. Some of it I can fix myself. Some of it, you know, if it touches the motor, I don't fuck with it.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's stuff on the outside, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But we, you and I talk a lot about here, or at least in mentioning or passing different meetings, meetings that you have, you know, with attorneys, CPAs, bookkeepers, your team, your business partner. And I wanted to take the opportunity to kind of dissect some of those meetings. There's I don't know if it might actually be a book that's called Death by Meeting. And because in the corporate world in the 90s, everything started being structured by meeting. It was meeting for this, meeting for that.
It was before emails.
Yeah. And then with the evolution of email and the technology that we have today, I feel that meetings have not evolved with the same rapid pace. I think instead of evolving, they've just been eliminated.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's things that you have to do and you have to know to have an effective meeting.
Yeah. And I think that, like, especially COVID, I think that took a lot of meetings away, or they went to Zoom. And it's like, if you can be a part of a meeting and turn your fucking camera off and you're back there fucking pounding your pud or doing God knows what, you know, like, are you really a part of that meeting? It's like, well, I'm here, I'm listening. Are you?
One of my pet peeves is not having the camera on,
Yeah.
you know, in a Zoom meeting. And because otherwise we can just talk on the phone.
Yeah. But yeah. Why are we? I mean, we've gone through that with, you know, especially like right at the end of COVID, we were having pre-con meetings via Zoom, and like engineers and architects never once saw one of them with the camera on.
Because they don't have their hair combed.
Yeah. They combed over the top of their bald ass head.
And it's noon.
Yeah. But yeah, that was one of those things like, and then they were never engaging. And I'm like, this whole meeting is about the engineering and the architecture. Like, we're all in there discussing how we're going to construct things. And we would ask a question to the engineer, and there was like this delay of like 15 seconds. And it's like, then you would see their microphone click on. And I'm like, well, why the fuck are you not fully engaged in this thing? Like, and how were you far enough away from your computer that it took 15 seconds for you to get over there to...
All of that is given meetings in general a bad name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another problem with meetings is a lot of times when there's a meeting, it could have been solved with an email.
Yeah. Useless meetings. They're not deliberate.
Exactly. To me, that's kind of a managerial power thing. Oh, we need to have a meeting.
I have converged all of my constituents into one spot.
Yeah. And you want to talk about, all right, look, from now on, somebody needs to be responsible for refilling the paper towel holder in the bathroom. You know, like meetings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shit
You're
like
like,
that.
someone? Pick somebody, dude. Pick a person.
Yeah.
Point at them.
Send an email.
Good. We're done. Yeah.
it's probably your responsibility anyway, but the concept of meetings have really gotten a bad rep. And just listening to our conversations and then having conversations with my clients, you can always tell the initial thought of a meeting is really kind of met with some hesitation. What I've discovered is that hesitation comes from not knowing how to have a meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially when it comes to people in the trades, like when we look at meetings, we look at the Monday, the morning safety huddle where it's like, everybody's standing there. Nobody really wants to be there. You got all these fat fucks standing around going, I got to do my calisthenics this morning. And they do this group stretch that's just, the whole thing is just awkward and nobody wants to be there.
Super awkward. Have you had to do that before?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. We were in a pipeline industry, going to work for some of these really big outfits. Every morning we'd show up, it's still dark outside and it's fucking, we were up in northern British Columbia. No bullshit. Negative 30 degrees outside. We're all standing outside.
All right, boys, touch your toes.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I can barely move. And it's that coastal cold too, so it's like hits you at the bone.
So you have enough clothes on to not be able to stretch.
Yeah. You're like, all I did was stretch the fabric of my clothes.
Thanks.
Yeah. We all look like the kids from A Christmas Story, waddling around with their big woolly bullshit on.
I had to do it when I worked at Google. That's the only time I've had to do it.
Really? Yeah. Well, that's a corporate thing, It somehow relates to your EMR or whatever, for your safety shit.
Interesting. So our experience with meetings is based on shit like that.
Right.
And, one of the rules of a meeting is you need a clear agenda. I also know that you don't need to have more than probably 3 things on that agenda.
Yep.
Meetings need to be less than 60 minutes.
Shit, I'd say if it fits with your team, it should be less than 30 minutes.
Depending on what it is. When we had our weekly team meetings, they were an hour. But I also have a tendency to preach.
Huh?
I get into something and I can go on. An hour is easy for me.
Yeah, but I don't. Okay, an operational meeting shouldn't go over 30 minutes because our Monday morning meetings, when we do the same thing where we put a podcast out and we're discussing self-improvement and things like that, those are an hour, but if it's operationally, it shouldn't be. Know what you need to talk about. Only invite the people that need to be a part of whatever that problem and solution are. Get the fucking shit out of the way and implement. You're wasting time if you're going over 30 minutes doing a meeting on some operational shit.
The time expectations should be listed on the agenda. And what are the top, again, don't make it more than 3. It's going to be, you're going to drag shit out. It's going to turn into a bitch session. And if you're not informing, again, I like that you said only the people that need to be there to solve the problem need to be in the meeting. It doesn't need to be everyone. You guys have a new guy on board. He does not need to be in an operations meeting.
Fuck no.
But you, Matt, Grant, and Nick in an operations meeting, there needs to be clear objective. What are we going to discuss today? What problems have we had? So each person in the meeting does need to either share the agenda or at least come to the table with what they perceive or know to be a priority problem. And those operations meetings are about realignment, course correction, solving problems.
Right.
And 30 minutes. You can get most of that done in 30 minutes.
Well, and if you go over, like, you say 3 things, I think that's fucking perfect, right? Because I know that we have taken our leadership and sat them down and like restructured their position to where there was like all these different changes that we put into place. And then we set them loose and it's like, well, hey, dude, didn't we just talk about this? Meanwhile, he's fixing this other thing, but hasn't. But, like it has to be an attainable amount of changes or problems to solve to where you can keep your mind and your energy into 3 things. If I got 5 things, one of them is definitely getting completely ignored. One of them is getting neglected, and I'm half-assing 3 other things, right? Yep. So there has to be tangible, bite-sized shit, right? Something I can actually go out and implement on right now, And so I think a good way to go about it is like the onboarding process that we do. That is a bombardment of shit, but it's meant to rattle your cage. This meeting you have, you're not trying to rattle somebody's cage.
Right.
You're trying to get them to do something better, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You are meant to rattle their cage in the onboarding. That's put them under stress. That absolutely is part of the reason for the onboarding process. One of the things that I learned over last year was I had to restructure my entire coaching approach because I was doing exactly that. I was meeting with clients weekly.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't enough time to implement.
Yeah.
Even if we talked about one thing, it wasn't enough time from week 1 to week 2 to implement. I don't have a single client today that I meet with weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Every client is between 2 and 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Every one. Because there needs to be time for implementation.
Well, like when we started coaching with you, we did every week and it was about an hour. But we were so primed and like in the position to be able to do that weekly. But I'll tell you right now, there's plenty of shit that got half-assed or overlooked or not implemented that I think if it did get stretched out a little longer and we would have gone every other week, it would have been beneficial. But those, for us, the weekly things were like, it was like a pep rally, you know, like it was like a cheerleader thing, you know, and I don't know if that's necessarily good because they can't be relying on you to fucking tell them that they're doing a great job. They have to do it themselves, right?
I think it is situational. And I've had several clients in the past where I met with weekly. My buddy Garrett is a great example. He was on the verge of closing. So
you were the last ditch effort?
Yeah, I was. Him and I working together was a last ditch effort. But what impressed me about him is his level of implementation from week to week. We didn't have to revisit something.
Yeah.
He was getting everything done that we discussed in that week. And then we would be primed for the next week and move forward.
I think when you're on the ropes like that, though, you're much more motivated to do it, right?
Kind of a, shoot to kill or be killed type situation.
Do or die, motherfucker.
Right. So I've had situations where I had another client where I was definitely overwhelming them. And I didn't recognize it until it was too late. I still work with that client. We just had to completely restructure everything. So I think we meet like every, 3 weeks or something now. Again, having that time and setting those realistic expectations, but basing that off of a solid agenda. Most of my clients also email me an agenda for the meeting. Hey, these are some of the points that they want to discuss, so I know what's priority to them. And then I have my top priority notes from our previous conversation, because another thing that I learned, and this goes back to operations meetings, team meetings, or whatever, is you can't leapfrog. Right?
Yes.
It's very easy to get excited and motivated and scheduled where, okay, in 3 weeks, we're going to move to this, and then 3 weeks move to that. You can't leapfrog. You got to make sure that A is done before you get to B. Or at least it's being implemented.
Right.
You may not have all of the data that you need, but you're working on implementation, and then you can move to B. That's something that's very common. Again, very guilty of it myself, is we move too fast.
Right.
So it's this interesting kind of dichotomy of the meeting. You don't want to have too many meetings. You don't want to move too fast. You don't want to move too slow. You got to make sure that it's progressive. You have to identify the priorities and put out fires at the same time. But if you look at how you're structuring conversation, there are different times. Putting out fires, if it is an urgent, emergent situation, then you need to address it. But if you do have a team, you can at least revisit or address a lot of those things in an operations meeting.
Yeah, so that's why our every meeting we have, so we handed out notebooks to the entire crew. The entire crew now has a meetings notebook. And,
Smart.
Matt and I have ours. So points that get brought up during these meetings, we jot them down. And the first 5 to 10 minutes of that next Monday morning meeting or next operations meeting, it's like, okay, we talked about this. We said we were going to implement. What happened here? Like, what did we do to implement? If we didn't implement, like, what the fuck are we doing then? Like, what's going on? What's the holdup? So that level of accountability that comes with that notebook is huge, you know, like, because most of these operational meetings, it's like, oh, we need to do this. Oh, but this is fucked up. Somebody's got to handle that before we can handle this. And then it just kind of goes to the wayside and nothing, whether it got handled or not, we didn't revisit it and go back to, okay, now that that's done, what are we going to do to move forward now? So I think that having like a tangible thing to hold on to, you know, some guys will put notes in their phone and whatnot. I don't really like that because it looks like they're fucking around on their phone. And it's just, I feel like it's more distracting to be typing into your phone than it is to be writing on a notepad, right? So we've done that, and the engagement in our meetings is fucking through the roof now.
That's good.
You know, because we give the guys a podcast to listen to every week. So they listen, like we gave Ed Milet this week. There's a really good one that you're probably going to want to check out on problem solving. But, you know, it's like, hey, and we go around the fucking table and you can't tell us what the last guy said. Like, you have to bring new information. And it's like, if somebody beat you to it, you know, you got to think about another point that you want to bring up about what we listen to.
Is that your weekly team meetings now?
Yeah. Yeah. So we give them a podcast and then we go through the podcast and we discuss it. You know, we do a little bit of operations, but I mean, like I said, it's like, you know, okay, we talked about this last week, you know, and you said that you were going to try this out in your own personal life. You know, we have it written down in our notebook. So it's like, hey, did you do that? And then it's like, yeah, no, I tried it. And, you know, there's some sort of a breakdown of the previous week's stuff. So there's the level of accountability that comes with those notebooks.
When I had my team meetings, I provided them with, I did 3-ring binders because I would do a lot of printouts and stuff. But same thing, they had a notebook or a legal pad in it, you know, plus the printouts. What I really like about this, the newer structure of your team meetings is you don't need to be talking, meetings need to be specific. You can't have a team meeting where you are talking about, you know, having a better culture, learning how to implement things in your personal life, discussing, oh, this is how you do budgeting, right? Personal budget finance forms. When you steer away from that and you get into, all right, well, what happened on this job yesterday? Oh, hey, this is the schedule. That's operations. That's not a team meeting. That is fucking operations and scheduling.
Right.
So being able to differentiate for meetings is, I think, really important. You've got to have clarity as to what they are. It's also very easy to migrate to schedules and operations and rework in those meetings because, well, I have everybody together. I'm going to take advantage of this.
Right.
I had a rule that my team meetings were about culture and people.
And personal development, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to infect my team meetings with a job that went sideways or rework that we had to do or a bad client or, you know, why is the fucking box trucks need to be cleaned kind of thing. The team meetings for me were meant to be for the team and growing and developing the team. Now, after the team meeting, I might pull my installers over and go, what the fuck is going on with your truck right now? Because they are there and I'm going to take advantage of it. And there were a lot of times that I would have meetings and at the end of the meeting, I would say, hey, I need all the service guys, you know, in my office in 10 minutes. The whole service department. I've got to talk to the install guys and then I've got to talk to you guys. You know, I would still take advantage of that opportunity and then have very like kind of quick micro conversations or huddles about things that, you know, maybe I needed to address, but those were less than 15 minutes. And that was just an opportunity to take advantage. But I never infected the team meetings with operations and bullshit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's one of those things that it is so easy to go off topic. And, you know, you have to fucking constantly keep my ass reeled in. So imagine me trying to lead a fucking meeting, you know? But I mean, that has become kind of Matt's realm, and I usually sit in the back corner, and I'll chime in whenever I have to. But, like you said, like, especially if we're on a developmental meeting, we're trying to boost these guys to be something, and they'll bring up, something about whatever operations, and that's their example. It's real easy to fucking get into the weeds on that,
Very, because they're trying to make it relatable, and you want it to be relatable, but you got to stay on the rails too.
Right.
So it is. So I think having team meetings. Go ahead.
I think it's easy to turn a team development meeting into a systems meeting. Unintentionally, you turn it into a system. You're like, whoa, hold on, wait, what the fuck happened? Well, why are we doing that? Why aren't we doing it like this? And like, you got to realize that you have to do these things with purpose. You have to be deliberate with it, and it's difficult to stay on track, but it's also necessary. If you want the most bang for your buck when it comes to having these meetings with these people, you have to stay centered and grounded and remind yourself why you were there doing that, and not let your imagination run wild.
And if you have an agenda in front of you, I've had plenty of examples where somebody would bring up something and it would start to derail. And I would just have to stop and say, hey, let's discuss this either right after this or in an operations meeting, or
do you say that dumb thing? Let's circle back to that.
Let's circle back to that in a little bit. I would tell me how you feel.
I hate that. Oh God.
One of my favorites was Mama D and I share just a type of effective aggression. Like we want it done. Right. And there were multiple times, and I always talk about Mama D in a loving way, and everything that we did, circled around that. But there were times I'm like, Mama D, this isn't the meeting for that.
Yeah, not the time.
Not the time. Make a note. Let's meet after this. We'll gather up whoever needs to be involved, because she was probably the most involved with operations of the whole company because of her position. So it was very easy for her to bring up a specific example and then interject emotion, into it. And you're like, oh yeah, this client, talk to my boys this way, because she was very protective of the team. Even, she was a good buffer for me. She saved a guy from getting fired one day because I was getting rid of his ass. I was fucking hot. I was hot. And she talked. I mean, I told him, I was like, you come get your fucking tools. You're done. And she said, now I don't think this is the best decision. She kind of talked me off the ledge a little bit. So she did a really good job of playing, that buffer between me and the team. But I also knew that if she was getting in your ass, I wasn't getting in her way. I knew you fucked up. If Mama D's getting on you, I knew you fucked up. Yeah. But there was also times where we had conversations. So operations, right? So we talked about the team meeting and what that looks like. When we would have operations meeting, I would have my install coordinator. I would have Mama D, my business partner, and I. And it's like, okay, what do we see with operations? What's going on? And that's an opportunity. It's really kind of a hybrid. I don't want to say it's a war room conversation, but it's a hybrid because it is an opportunity for the key decision makers, for the key leaders to say, what the fuck is the sales guys doing? Right? Or the install coordinator be like, hey, I'm not getting this information from the sales team. So we would work now. The operations are also a good blend of systems,
Yeah. So I think that having operational meetings is one of those things that clarifies and condenses all the things that get said in passing. Right? Because we go through our day, we're doing all these things. You're trying to relay information. You're not communicating. You're just relaying information, and you're kind of, shouting back and forth. And I'm on it, this and that. But how much shit gets lost in that? And we came to realize that the majority of the quote unquote communication that was happening within our operations was in passing. There was no point that we sat down and be like, okay, all right, you guys, hold on, let's just stop for 5 minutes. This is what I look at as a meeting. Like, hey, wrangle everybody in. It's not scheduled. There's no agenda, but it's like, hey, you guys, all right, everybody's kind of on fire right now. Let's bring it in. We've all had our ideas of how things should be done, and we're just kind of shifting gears left and right. We need to come up with a plan right now. I find that as being somewhat of an operations meeting. you know, and to condense everything and make sure that clarity is there in the expectation and operation of everybody. I think that's fucking huge, you know. I thought I told you to do this. Yeah, you did, but I had to do this, and I fucking couldn't get to it. And you know, it clears the air and lets everybody say their 2 cents.
I was in the middle of that exact thing yesterday. I did a on-site leadership training yesterday, and at one of the breaks, another member of the company, they weren't part of this team, but they worked for the same company. They were in the process of transitioning a project, and so the superintendent showed up just as we were taking a break, which was perfect timing. And he starts asking questions to the other superintendent and the PM, and I'm watching this unfold. The longer it goes on, the more they are talking over each other. Everything that they're discussing is in passing. And then one person would ask a question and the other person would answer for a completely different topic that was irrelevant to the question asked. So then frustration starts to set in. Finally, the PM, who is the leader of that location, said, hey, I will get the information and we will all sit down together and we will go through this.
Develop a plan.
Sometimes you do have to initiate a stop in a conversation and turn it into something that's more structured. For me, it was great because it was just in the point of the leadership training where we were diving into communication.
It's weird how it always pans out like that, doesn't it?
So interesting. So I got to use the one thing that I just witnessed for poor communication in passing, and I got to kind of get in their ass a little bit about it because I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
You know?
How many times have you done that in our shop? He walks in, sees some interaction, he goes, what the fuck are you doing?
Well, I don't pull punches, so, but it's more effective, you know, when you have something realistic, because I mean, I know I'm talking about the training, but I could have just postponed it and had a conversation with a leader. Like, nope, everybody is in here. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
This is what I just saw happen. And
here's why you're wrong.
Yeah. And I was blown away because
most of the trades operates like that.
I know, man.
Everything is in passing. Nothing is deliberate.
I was on a large job site up North Reno one day, and I was riding with the general superintendent, and we go to this job site. There's another superintendent. The PM is there, and they're all three of them are standing and having a conversation. I'm standing 2 feet outside of the circle, just observing. And I'm watching this shit show unfold in front of me. Same thing. People are talking over each other, change of topic with no blinker, this whole thing. And they all, okay, all right, yeah, all right, bye. And they break away. And we get in the truck. And I looked at the general and I said, what the fuck was that? And he said, what? I said, you guys just spent 15 minutes, general superintendent, and the PM, everybody that needed to be involved. In 15 minutes, not one person made a decision.
Oh, dude, that decision hot potato. I've gotten to the point I feel like, because if I'm a part of those meetings, even if I'm not the host of the meeting, I'll step in because I deal with this with general contractors and engineers and all that shit. And it's like, well, what if we maybe did this or that? And it's like, hey, you do this, you do this, you do this. I'll do this. Yeah. Is there anything we're fucking missing right now? Sometimes you just got to hop in there and just fucking take control of it, you know? Otherwise, everybody's like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I like the hot potato analogy.
Hot potato thing. Yeah, then it's frustrating because then it's, let's circle back. Let's I'll send an email. It's like, we did nothing. Yeah. You wasted 15 minutes of my time and nothing got accomplished.
And that's what I was telling the general, as we were driving off from that job site to go to another to meet some other people. And I said, no one made a decision. And no one agreed to do any type of follow-up with the decision because there were things that were unknown. I said, but no expectation was set.
You know what the problem with that is too, though, is that you had a PM, general superintendent, and superintendent. All of those people are delegators. So getting delegators
To make a decision.
especially if it requires them doing something,
Yeah.
that's it's not a knock. They're playing at their skill level, right? Their skill level is to delegate. They're good at finding the right people to do the things. So they're all standing there as delegators trying to delegate shit to each other.
I also told him, I said, the other point in that entire conversation, not one person wrote a single thing down.
Ooh, yeah.
I said, you guys talked about a dozen different things, different subcontractors, different, deadlines, material. This is back ordered. I said, not a single person wrote anything down. So as soon as that meeting was over, everybody dispersed back into their lane. And
Oh, dude, I'm totally going to remember that. What do you mean? Oh, steel trap.
yeah,
That's all rusty.
I was
Give
going to
you
say, I've
tetanus.
got rusty hinges.
Yeah.
So, but it's about being deliberate, conversation and passing. And that was the point that I was able to make in the training yesterday was everything that I just witnessed was communication and passing, which is not communication. I said, you guys are fucking talking over each other. The other guy's not even facing the other guy that's talking. It's like kind of a back around his shoulder. I'm like, oh my God.
They're both looking in the same direction.
Yes, and being a student of body language and effective communication, I'm about to lose my fucking mind watching this train wreck unfold.
Right.
But I let it unfold and then leveraged it to an opportunity for learning.
But you know what I have noticed, though? Like, especially when I meet PMs for the first time or superintendents, I like to be face up, head on. I like to look at them in the face. They keep trying to walk around me and stand next to me. And so I keep doing it. It makes them, I keep trying to get in front of them and it makes them really uncomfortable. I don't know if it's because Matt and I look like fucking pricks or what. Like we have a look and demeanor and we're very decisive. So I don't know if it's just an intimidation thing, but they refuse to stand in front of me. And it's I'm like, why are we dancing right now?
Right.
Like we're doing the fucking waltz. Like
Do-si-doa.
Yeah.
Well, and we can dive down the path of communication and body language in another conversation because there was an art to it, understanding mimicry and all of that. But the meeting aspect of it is about is deliberate. Be deliberate, be intentional. Another mistake that happens is somebody says, okay, yeah, I got it, when they don't.
Yes, God fucking damn it.
Why would you do that?
Dude, and you can see it in people's faces, and the thing is like, we have this innate response to not call them out because we don't want to call them a liar, But I've gotten to the point where I'm like, we're like, oh yeah, no, you can see them look at the ground and look back up like halfway to you. And I'm like, you quit telling me you understand. I know you don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand this part. I'm like, well, why the fuck did you say I get it? Why did you say that? They want the moment to be over, you know?
do.
And it's like,
They
you
do.
realize the moment that comes after you not doing what I asked you to do is going to be 10 times worse than whatever this little bit of uncomfortability is.
A couple things on that is one is you can just have them, all right, repeat back to me what I'm asking for, and have them do it.
Yeah.
The other is to walk me through your plan process. All right, this is what I need. You got it? Yeah, I got it. Okay. Come back in 5 minutes and walk me through your plan. However, it is up to the person. The recipient has to have enough accountability and confidence to go, what do you mean? And that was a question that I learned to ask. And not one time did I ever say, well, what do you mean? And someone blow up on me. Because guess what? They want me to understand.
Yeah, they want a result. And they know that if you don't understand, they won't get the result.
Exactly. So when I say, what do you mean? That's just me saying that I need to be communicated with a little bit differently. And so it navigates the conversation to a better conversation where I do understand. But I've never had anyone flip out by saying that. I think a part of that hesitation and question asking goes back to the social awkwardness of school right? God forbid you raise your hand and ask a fucking question because you look like you're retarded.
Because it's either the teacher hates you for not understanding, or the rest of the class is like, what the fuck, stupid?
well, you don't know.
Come on, we're trying to get through this.
No, I don't know. I'm going to come out and say, look, I'm not that smart, so I'm going to ask a lot of questions.
Dude, and if self-degradation goes a long way when it comes to these situations, you know? It's like, hey, dude, I'm fucking retarded.
Yep.
You're going to have to go ahead and tone that down for me a little bit, Kimosabe.
Yeah.
Like,
do you have another crayon? I broke mine. But
pretend like you're telling it to a retarded 5-year-old.
That's it.
Yeah.
When I talk to leaders, that's what I tell them. You have to communicate things in a way that you find offensive. I said, and stop thinking it's offensive.
Yeah.
You have to discover where that elementary basis is. What is that baseline for communication? Again, this came up in the training yesterday. You have to meet them on their level. As a leader, as a coach, whatever, you have to initially meet them on their level. Otherwise, you're staying on top of this hill, yelling down at them to hurry and come up. You have to meet them on their level. That is, whether it's explaining a skill on emotion, communication, you have to meet them on their level, because now once you do and you connect, you can expedite their growth. Otherwise, they just feel like you're yelling at them.
Which is what most of the trades is doing, you know? And I think if we could figure this stuff out, like having clear and concise meetings and having direction and being deliberate about things, we could alleviate so many problems in this industry, you know? And if we could just take accountability for shit, meetings are a great way to host accountability, you know? And it's like, hey, I was supposed to do this. I did my part. Like, see, you can see I did it right here. You know, did you do yours? No. Okay. Well, we know where the problem's at.
Yeah. Or what do we need to do moving forward?
Yeah.
Is there something that you need? Something that went sideways? What do we need to do to move forward? When you have the opportunity for controlled conversation, controlled communication, you can clarify a lot of things. Because without clarity, communication is just garbage anyway. Team meetings, 60 minutes or less. Operation meetings are normally going to be 30 minutes or less. Then you have kind of daily huddles. You know as well as I do, shit changes overnight.
Oh, yeah.
Often. Your daily huddles just need to involve the people there. I'm not talking about a whole business huddle. If you've got 2 people on a job site, then every morning they need to have a less than 15-minute conversation about who's doing what and what they're planning to get done that day. Very simple.
Yeah.
Because I know I've been on sites and let's just say that we're planning to, you know, put steel up over here. Well, when I got there that morning, now there's a fucking dozer setting in my way, right? Like somebody's dropping equipment because they're mobbing because now the excavation team is showing up. Okay, we need to have a quick conversation. Who do we need to have that conversation with? You might need to talk to the super or the job site foreman, and then you might have to pivot. But if you are reactive about those situations and not proactive about solving the problem and then having the necessary communication or huddle, all right, hey, we're not working over here today. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And you initiate, right? You execute. So I think the team, even if they're in the shop, hey, this is what we're finishing this project today. We're starting this afternoon. It's Thursday and PDM shows up on Thursday. So I know we're going to have a truck show up between 4 and 5. I know. So we're going to have a truck show up today. So I know that, you know, we need to be on the lookout for that. Here's the PO. Here's the, you know, whatever. When you have those daily huddles, it just sets you up to be reactive when you have to be, you know? So now you get a client walk in. Okay, you know that you need to address it. Are you going to do the work right now? Is it an emergency? Is it scheduled? Do you need to get them an appointment with you? What's the fucking case? But daily huddles are I think very necessary for the kind of the ebb and flow of the job. The other thing that daily huddles do is delegation. And having that sense of delegation, which is really just means having a sense of ownership of the task. That way, if I say, all right, Nate, you're going to do this over here today, I'm going to be working on this. I will be done probably by lunchtime. After that, I'll come help you set this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
Again, less than 15 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. You know what I'm doing. I know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can fucking go do the thing that we need to do.
Right.
If you're on a large site, I think it's important for the foreman to touch base with the other foremans on the job, especially in vicinity, right? If they're in your vicinity, I remember when we were on that steel job over in Fernley, we had to communicate with the bricklayers.
Yeah.
Right?
I assume you guys, yeah.
Because those guys lay block fucking fast.
Dude. Yeah.
But, so there was really kind of this chase around the building type thing. But had we not had communication with them and they would say, hey, we're going to be here, Matt would go, oh, shit. All right, we're going to stand these columns first, and then we're going to move over here. Had you not had that conversation with the CMU guy, we would be trying to set that thing over a fucking
CMU wall
with fresh concrete in it. I don't want to do that.
Fuck that thing. Push it over. Get it out of the way.
I thought we were going to push some shit over that day with that fucking telehandler went Bronco on me. God damn.
At least you're only boomed out all the way.
All the way with a 60-foot beam. It wasn't a huge beam, but it was 60 feet long.
Enough to make your butt pucker.
Yeah, you couldn't have got a greased BB in my ass when that thing fucking bucked me almost out of that seat.
It's weird because usually you can fit a bowling ball in there.
Whoa. Like a 6 pound or 8 pound?
Bocce ball. Yeah.
Is it glow in the dark? I hope it's glow in the dark. So, all right, moving down the list here. So again, team meetings, operation meetings, daily huddles. Those are going to involve certain members of the team, and those are going to be pretty consistent. Team meetings need to be at least every other week, if not week. Operations meetings need to be at least every other week, if not week. And then tailgate huddles are going to be daily. If you have a business partner, then you need to be having ownership meetings every week. That was one of my favorite things that I learned from my mentor was the importance of an ownership meeting of 60 minutes of undisturbed, no phones, no disruptions, 60 minutes for the owners to get up to 10,000 feet and look at the operation of the business and look at the operation of one another. What are you doing? What am I doing? Where are we at? Are we still aligned? What's the business doing? What's the leaders doing? What are the operations doing? How's the new guy? Right? You have time to have those conversations. So those need to be weekly. I could never get my partner to commit to the ownership meetings.
Yeah. We just started doing them. We do them every Tuesday. We go get breakfast. We do it offsite out of the shop. So that way we can't be fucked with. Leave the phones in the truck. But dude, they're massively beneficial. We have an understanding of where each other's coming from with their roles because we talk about what we're doing every week. We're trying to keep the direction of the business is difficult. We're kind of struggling with it a little right now. It's like, what are we doing and what direction are we heading in, And so we're going to have a retreat,
Big fan. I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Well, it's not the right time of year to do it, but soon enough, we're going to have to go, spend some time in the fucking woods and just be like, all right, dude, what do we want to fucking do here?
Yep.
And that's a more, much more condensed version of what a weekly owners meeting is. But
if you have partner or owners in a business, you need to be doing a retreat once a year because that's where you're going to rewrite the business plan. You're going to evaluate the finances for the year. Looking at sales projections and looking at revenue and then comparing it to last year, writing a financial plan for the upcoming year, looking at the team. Do you want to hire? A lot of people being a single owner operator, I know a retreat doesn't make sense to them. I still think they need to remove themselves from the business.
Or take a vacation. Think about shit. Ponder it on a beach in Mexico, man.
So if you're a single owner operator, get involved with a mastermind group or go to a conference.
Oh, yeah.
Once a year. That removing you from the business and putting you in that environment, you'll fucking punch out a business plan because you're in proximity of other winners. And then the conference can turn into a mastermind group where, let's say I meet you at a conference. We have similar businesses. I want to have a conversation with you, and I want to sit down and say, hey, will you help me navigate how to make a business plan? Mm-hmm. So even the single owner operators need to expose themselves to those things. But having that retreat, very, very important. Have fun too, by the way, right? Because you guys are in business together. If you've got business partners and you're in the fray all the time, you need to go have fun together. Mm-hmm. You need to detach. Take the family, go fucking somewhere for a long weekend, make it about business, get that done, and enjoy the weekend together. I think that's really, really important to do. And it's very healthy because you're going to come back with a clear direction and understanding what you want. You're coming from now 30,000 feet back down into the weeds, but you're kind of rejuvenated, right? You're re-energized. You have, you've redefined clarity as to what everybody is doing and what they're responsible for. So I think the retreat's super, super important. Finance meetings. Okay. That's also, again, this is why this episode's called Death by Meeting. But financials, if you're a single owner operator, you need to meet with your bookkeeper or CPA monthly, at least in the beginning. And that can switch to quarterly. If you are partners, you need to have monthly financial meetings. So if you and I are partners, I know that this is August, the middle of August, we're going to review July. We're going to review the previous month because we got to look at expenses. We've got to look at credit cards. We've got to look at job costing. We've got to look at, everything financially related to the business in that month. I also know that we're going to have some rollover from June, that we need to follow up on. We're going to look at accounts receivable. We're going to look at aging reports. You've got to be in tune because when you go back into your role, depending on what your role is, for example, my role was operations. I wasn't involved with the finances every day or even weekly. Right. So I need to know what the business is. What is the pulse of the business and financing? Again, payroll, taxes. What is our payroll? Look at the financials as a whole. Now, that financial meeting might take a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, and also don't be dependent upon your ARs. Your ARs are full of shit. That I think, or your P&Ls. Stop looking at your P&Ls. Until the fat lady is sung and you pay your taxes at the end of the year, your P&Ls don't. Like it's a
snapshot.
But it's still not, unless you're completely reconciled. All your bills are completely caught up. All of your vendors are paid. All of your invoices have come in,
and everything's classified correctly.
Right. And you still haven't taken out your, taxable side of all that. So it's like, don't look at your P&L like gospel. If it shows that you're making 26%, you're not making 26%.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now. That's right. It's not accurate. I'll put it that way. It's not accurate. It's a good gauge, right? If you're making money, you're losing money, but it's not accurate.
Yep. I agree. I've experienced P&Ls being manipulated before.
Yeah, because somebody was stealing from you.
That's true. Yeah, that is why. And they were trying to make sure the bank didn't call us on our note.
Oh,
so it was a nice little combo. I think the last, so looking at financial meetings with the owners or with CPA or whatever. I think the last good meeting to have is once or twice a year is a big team barbecue.
Yeah, like a team building
fun.
Like we take our guys out to, a couple times we've gone out to shoot sporting clays out at Walker River Resort, or we wrapped up the Bentley Distillery or the malting house. And we took everybody out to the Overland and paid for it. It was like $1,000 dinner, right. Get whatever the fuck you want, yeah. All the drinks, all the food, bring your old ladies, do it like that.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
Here's the last point I want to make on the meetings. And as you look at all of those, what I want people to really understand is it's less than 10 hours a month. And it's the most valuable 10 hours that you'll spend all month. So, again, weekly team huddles, operations, ownership, but it's less than 10 hours a month. So it's not really death by meeting.
Right.
it feels like death by meeting when there's no agenda, there's no follow-up, there's no structure, there's no accountability, there's no clear communication. When you just get together and talk in passing, that's fucking death by meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's as long as it's adding to your operation, as a whole, as long as it's adding, then you're going in the right direction. But if you're getting in there and people are just like twirling pencils and fucking staring off into the abyss, everybody has ADHD these days, So if it's more than 15 minutes, you're losing most of them.
So true. Yeah, I got that. I got that yesterday in the training because the leadership training is right at 3 hours. It's also interactive, and we do team building exercise and stuff in it. But even we take breaks, obviously, but it's still it's a lot to consume. A lot to consume. Yeah. Dude, good to see you. It's been a couple weeks since we've sat down.
Yeah.
So
I'm surprised I'm not walking by this point. So. It's like Josh leaves and all of my motorized vehicles fall apart. Is there a correlation to this? If I was a conspiracy theorist, I'd have something to say about that.
Did you get your bike back today?
Yep.
Okay.
I got to go pick it up. And then we have our first football game this afternoon. So.
Oh, shit.
It's all the way out in Jackson, though.
How far is that?
2 hours.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
2 hour one way?
Yep.
Dude,
we have one not next week, but the week after. We have to go up by Elko.
Oh.
So we have 7 hours one way.
Do you guys stay over?
I think varsity will because varsity plays later. But they're like, hey, do you want to ride the bus? And I'm like, fuck no.
Can I drink?
Yeah, right? It's like, dude, you put me on a bus with 40, 15-year-olds for 14 hours?
No.
No, man, I'll drive myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm not down with that either.
Right.
I lose my fucking mind. But
so I'm jazzed. It's like they put all the work in. All the kids are healthy. Their skills are getting better. Their conditioning is getting better. When you're playing with the offensive line and defensive line, it's like better is really not. They're still offensive linemen. It's like, dude, you work in a 3 square foot box and we're out there running gassers, and those kids don't fucking like that shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What do you mean 50 yards?
By when?
Yeah.
By when?
Like by tomorrow? Can I do this in segments?
When is the first home game?
It'll be the following week.
Okay.
Yeah.
And JV plays on what day?
It's a Thursday or Friday. We do like a couple of Friday games, and the rest of them are on Thursdays. Okay. So, yeah.
Well, I have to come check it out. Yeah. I haven't been to a fucking varsity lights game and, a fucking hometown football game in a long time.
Well, dude, even just the scrimmage we had, the bleachers were full for the scrimmage.
Yeah, I love it. Well, Douglas County is a really good county. It is. Yeah. It's a good school, good programs, and I'm glad they have a good team. So that'll be fun. Yeah, I'll have to come check it out.
Yeah.
All right. You can find Nate on Instagram at NateNewton87. I am on Instagram at The Tradesman Experience. Email is thetradesmanexperience@gmail.com. Website's thetradesmanexperience.com. And the YouTube channel is The Tradesman Experience. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Get out there and get shit done. Be proud to be a tradesman. See ya.